And we are live for episode 48 of Dads and Ed. We are fast approaching the half a hundred mark here in the end of March now. Well, that will be at the end of March. Happy Leap Day. Happy Leap Year Day, whatever it's called. An extra day to go out and save the world. Or whatever. It is February 29th. This is the first Dads and Ed we've ever had on a Leap Day. Isn't that interesting?
That's a good point.
Because we haven't been around for 4 years.
Right.
And probably 4 years ago, the 29th didn't fall on a Monday. So that's all right. I'm glad we could take advantage of this while we can. My name is Josh Allen. I am a tech integration specialist at Lewis Central Schools outside of Council Bluffs. I am the father to 3 wonderful kids. And one more on the way in August, and I have a beautiful wife. Excited to be here. Excited for Jonathan Wylie tonight. Jonathan, got to meet him a couple times, see him present. He is fabulous. Does great work. So excited to have him here. Well, since Devin is kind of here, kind of frozen, experiencing technical issues as always, as our friend Bill Little will remind him hopefully later. We'll turn it over to you, Brent.
As I say, Devin. Yeah, he's not there. Oh, wait, there he is.
That's all right. Just let him. It may freeze again, so why don't you just go ahead? We'll wait for it to freeze.
Yeah, Brent Catlett here, Director of Technology at Independence School District in Independence, Missouri, in the Kansas City area. A husband to the amazing Josie Ann Catlett and 5 children. 9 and under, 4 of which are 5 and under, so still dealing with 2 kids in diapers and having a good old time with that, and potty training one of those 2 at the moment. So, excited to be here tonight to visit with Jonathan and you guys, of course.
Last but not least, he's still unfrozen. He's still here.
I'm still here.
Devin.
I logged on, and the computer obviously needed a restart, so that's why I left. So yeah, hey, welcome back, Brent.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Really great to have you back.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Devin Schoening. I am instructional technology program lead in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I have 2 wonderful kids. One just had a birthday. Gracie just had her birthday, turned 12 on Friday, and Claire's birthday is coming up. She'll turn 10 in about a week. My wonderful wife, Erin, just got off the treadmill. She tweeted something a little bit ago. She's now got 132 miles or something like that in for the year, which I retweeted and said only 100 ahead of me, and that's a long ways. I don't think I'm catching up. So yeah. Excited to be here. I'm glad that it's kind of an adrenaline rush. I was driving home thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to make it, but lo and behold, I did.
Well, we are excited the gang's all back. You may connect with us at any time. You can tweet at Dads and Ed. You can use the hashtag Dads and Ed. We appreciate all of you who use that throughout the in-between shows as well. A lot of great articles. Who was it? Oh, a good host would have this queued up already. Someone, Eric Ewald, is that how you pronounce his last name? Has posted a couple, had a couple posts in between our last show and this one. Appreciate that, and everyone else who contributes to that. It's really kind of cool. I know Bill has shared it a couple times, like his kid getting karate stuff, and a couple other people have tweeted up just kids or stuff about their kids. So use that whenever you want. You can email the show, dadsanded@gmail.com. If you missed part of the show, our website is dadsanded.podbean.com. You can also find us on the Edu Podcast Network or in iTunes just by searching Dads and Ed. Feel free to subscribe to that. All right, covering all those bases.
By the way, Bill is going to lose his ability to tweet to our hashtag if he keeps ripping on me for being tech illiterate.
I don't think now is a good time for you to point that out, since you came and joined and then decided to have to restart. Just gonna throw that out there.
Whatever.
Brent got his restarted prior to the show starting.
Hey, I walked in the door and tried to hop on this thing. So
Stop! Someone will think that we don't prepare for these shows.
I was prepared. I just was late.
Water cooler topic for today. So, in the midst of all the craziness that's going on in our life, I decided to buy a new car this weekend. I have had the same Chevy Cavalier since 2002.
Wow.
I bought it the summer after I graduated college, and 207,000 miles later, I found a brand new 2016 Chevy Cruze that gets better gas mileage and has 7 miles on it. For less than what I thought I was going to pay for a used car. So, the 2 questions tonight. First, are you a used car or new car person, or lease? Second, favorite car you've ever had? Devin, since you're so well prepared for this.
Heck yeah.
Since we didn't even jot down the topic, but Brent and I talked about it ahead of time. What's your thoughts?
My first car was a red 1991 Chevy Cavalier when I turned 16, I believe. Yeah, my mom and dad bought that. And then let's see, from there I bought my first actual car was a little Chevy S10 pickup.
I had one too.
Yeah. I didn't. Well, if you want to tell the story of roller gears, you can, but I did not do that. And then I purchased. After that, we purchased a used Jeep Cherokee when we were having our first child, because apparently it's not cool to throw your child in the back of a pickup truck, even if you strap them in. That's apparently not good.
Apparently, it's frowned upon in that establishment.
I've leased my last 2 cars. So I've done leases the last 2. I have a Volkswagen Jetta right now. So yeah, I've kind of been on this lease thing. Although, good gracious, so I think I leased for like, I don't know, 10, 12, 15,000 miles a year. I'm at 30,000 right now for 1 year.
That's why I don't lease.
Yeah, isn't that gonna totally like? You're going to have like a ginormous bill to pay for, or are you?
Yeah, so here's the deal. So my last lease was very, very similar, and I got to that point, and I was like, holy crap, I'm going to owe like thousands of dollars. They didn't do anything. They did nothing. As long as I turned it back into them and leased a new car from them, they just didn't do anything. So I figured, what the heck, I'll just continue leasing at this rate and drive as many miles as I want. Hopefully nobody from Baxter, Volkswagen, or wherever I got this thing from is listening, because...
Oh, they are. Totally
yeah, so I've done the lease thing, which has worked out for me, even though I think what I figured out is once you lease, if you just go back to that place all the time, what the heck? I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I wish I would have known that, because minimum just driving to work on my contract days is 12,000 miles, because I drive a lot. So that's why I didn't even consider lease. But one of the discussions we had about used versus new, my wife goes, a couple people have said, well, you lose all this money when you drive it off the lot. And I'm like, did you see my car outside? I got $600 for it. That's twice as much as what they told me they were going to give me for it. Like randomly tonight when I was signing, I was there on Saturday, finished signing the paperwork today, and the guy's like, well, you're putting $3,000 down. I'm like, I'm doing what? Like, part of this deal was I'm not paying any money. And he's like, well, here's your rebate, and they gave you $600 for your car. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, all right, I'll sign it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I hate car shopping more than anything. Even,
oh my God.
Even the lease deal. So, I'm not very good at negotiating. But this last time I went in, I essentially said, here's how much I'm willing to pay. Here's how much I can pay you today. Can you give me a car or not? Yeah. I said, we don't even have to spend the next 3 hours going back and forth and you going over and talking to your little manager guy behind the desk. Like, we can skip all that. This is how much money I have. So what can you do?
Yeah. Brent, what about you?
Well, I've written a blog post about my $700 Honda I purchased that I instantly put $500 into because it sounded like a stock car. And, muffler. But I got a year out of that vehicle, so I figured it at $100 a month. Basically, I kind of rented a car, and then it got to the point where my really trusty South Omaha back then mechanic said, Brent, you're not going to put this kind of money into this vehicle. So I was like, okay, on to the next thing. So then I did do the lease thing. Didn't really care for that. But I got to go back to my favorite car I ever had was when I was like 16, 17. I forget exactly when I got it. It was when I was in high school. It was a 78 Caprice Prager SS 5-star rims on the back, 50 series tires with some air shocks. That was the stuff, boys, at Bryan High School. And believe this or not, this is a true story. Mine had a white vinyl top as part of the back side, like the back of the window.
Mm-hmm.
And a kid in the school had the exact same year, make, model, except his was a black vinyl top. And, of course, he had different rims and things on there. Well, so I guess this is a true story, believe this or not. So one day I walk out and my car is stolen from school. And I contact my dad, of course, and he's not happy, but I'm like, Dad, my car is no longer, it's gone. I'm like, it's been stolen. He's like, no way. So I was like, yep. So, needless to say, it's stolen. We report it to the police. And I kind of run into this other kid, Doug was his name, I can still remember him, where he goes, someone was after me. He'd been taking off his catalytic converter or whatever it's called, because he knew his was going to get stolen, or that some kid had threatened him with that. So the kid stole my car thinking he was stealing Doug's. And so this is true, because so mine gets found, I'm not going to say what part of Omaha, but it just gets found in Omaha in a not so great neighborhood. It had been Jimmy rigged up and basically jump started, and they broke the deal to get to that. It was crazy to me how easy it was to do, because when I did finally get it back from the pound later, I started it that way, where you just literally pull this lever, because it was broke, and I ended up fixing it, of course, but it cost me all this money to get it out of the pound and all that, of course, but broken window, they stole my radio. I had thousands of dollars worth of baseball equipment in the back that they didn't take, but yeah. So then, literally a month later, Doug's car gets stolen, and they destroy his. They wrap it around a tree, and both of us, it was kind of our baby, this car. We loved it, of course. But so anyway, sorry that was kind of long, but that's an absolute true story event in my car story life.
Nice. I had a '77 Caprice, 2-door with the white vinyl top. That's a fabulous car.
Yeah.
So I was driving that when I met my wife, so obviously holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a sweet ride.
Bill Little chiming in. Just bought the first brand new car last year, 2015 black Ford Edge. That's a good purchase. I can get down with that.
Yeah, it's nice. I've ridden in it. It's good gas mileage for him too, as he bops around the district. Like you were saying, Josh, that's huge. Where guys like us that are going around districts and driving quite a bit. I mean, it's nice that gas prices are down, but that certainly has weighed in on me now. And I would say now, if I had to say too, I would like to mention that I'm kind of a used car guy. I've kind of over the whole idea of buying new, and then you lose all this money on it. And if I had Devin's philosophy, that's an interesting philosophy, but I don't know if I could pull that off. I feel like I'd be the guy they'd be like, nope, sorry, you owe me $20,000 now, and I'd be like, oh, wait, I want to lease another car with you. And they'd be like, sorry, the thing said this.
And if you want to know the truth, the first lease that I did before this car, so I think it was 3 years, and I misremembered how much it was per mile. So I had in my head this whole time that it was 5 cents or something. I was like, no, I know that's what it is. So every time I was over miles, I was like, that's $20. I mean, what's the big deal? Well, come to find out, it wasn't 5 cents. It was 40 cents. So, the whole time where I thought, at the worst, I'm going to owe $3,000. It ended up being $10,000 at the end of that. So
you can buy a new car for that.
You can, and I was really, really worried. So the other thing you can do, though, is at the end of a lease, is I could just buy the car for this residual value that you establish at the beginning of the lease. So even my last car, which was another Volkswagen Jetta, the sports wagon, I could have bought it for $12,000 at the end of the lease anyways, which was a fine price for a car that was 2 years old or something like that. So I yeah, I think it all works out in the end. It seems like a racket.
Yeah, it's not fun. But
Jim York just tweeted, "I have 4 kids under 6. I own nothing new, but our van is pretty sweet." That is the best purchase actually I've made. I didn't go there tonight, but without a doubt, the best purchase my family's ever made.
Nice. All right. So we will move on to Dad Moment of the Week. Oh, lots of great moments this week. Ended up, I don't know if I talked about this last time, but our family won a trip to Phoenix this weekend. We made a 24-hour trip down to Phoenix to watch a Suns game, sit in a suite. And I will definitely say I never thought I'd ever sit in a suite. I've done it twice in the last 6 months, and it's going to be difficult for me to actually sit in the stands again because that living is good, boys. I'm not going to lie. But my dad moment of the week has to be my 5-year-old. I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday. She wanted to rock to go to bed. It's one of those things like I got tons of things to do, tons of things I'd rather do, but I also know that time is coming that they're not going to want to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of laying there, and she's kind of squirming around in the chair, and I said, you know, are you uncomfortable? You want to go back to bed? I said, you ready to go to bed? And she goes, no. She goes, I just want to lay here with you forever. And I'm like, man, don't do that, because then you're going to ask for something, and I think I'm going to have to say yes, because it's super sweet of you to say it like that. Man,
Awesome.
Girls are terrible. Just a little too easy to wrap their dad around their finger. But anyway, she also on the way home on the plane, I said, Lane, you need to stop being so adorable. She was doing something silly. And she goes, Dad, you need to stop being so handsome. And I'm like, well, not true, but thanks anyway. That's extra boundary points for you. But
right. She has
anyway.
that already. Like,
oh, yeah.
When it's okay to, expand the truth a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. As long as it's to her advantage. Absolutely. All right. Brent, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with, I recently taught my daughter how to play hangman, and so we have like a chalkboard thing down here in our basement, a chalkboard wall, and so we've been trying to kind of utilize it a little bit more for different things, and so the other day I was like, do you know how to play hangman? And she's like looking at me like, what are you talking about? And then of course she's like, hangman, and so then that's a thing. So So I've recently taught her the craft of playing hangman. It's just been kind of fun because now she's asking to play again and again, and so kind of cool just to challenge her with the words and all that good stuff, and start putting the screws to her that way. Because I don't let her win.
Nice.
Not too often.
Yeah, mine is it's birthday season around here. For my girls. So Gracie just turned 12, like I mentioned earlier, on Friday, and so the nice thing, we typically go, whomever's birthday it is can pick dinner for the night, and we usually do the whole family thing and dinner. She was going to have some friends stay the night too, and she kind of decided, even though Friday may have worked better, she didn't want to do Friday because that was family time. She wanted to hang out with us. So I did that, and then she had a couple friends over on Saturday, and I just so happened to put up, we bought a trampoline for the girls for Christmas, and it was finally kind of nice enough this weekend and not too wet outside. So I went out, and I had some friends that were going to come over and help me on Sunday, but I got home Saturday afternoon. I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. How hard can it be? 4 hours later, I had set up a trampoline by myself.
Wow.
A little bit of help from my wife. She did help a little bit a couple times when I needed another pair of hands, but put up the entire trampoline in 4 hours by myself. So I will I will take that as my dad moment of the week.
Give you a gold star, my friend.
Thank you. I think I deserve it. And they said it. The box says will need at least 2 people to put up this trampoline.
They need to add, unless you're Devin Schoening at the end of that.
I took that challenge and beat back that trampoline.
Oh, wonderful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, It is that time of the show that we get to introduce our guest. Tonight we are pleased to be joined with another Iowan in the room. Jonathan Wylie is here. Jonathan, welcome to the program. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Josh. So, can you guys hear me okay? Yep.
You're good.
I'm going to go with the adopted Iowan tag because it's not my not my native homeland, but my name is Jonathan Wylie. I work at Grant Wood AEA in Cedar Rapids. I'm a technology consultant, which means I work with local school districts to help teachers integrate technology in the classroom, and I've been doing that for 5 years now. Before that, I taught elementary for 10 years, so I was an elementary teacher for 10 years, 5 years in North Lynn and 5 years in the UK, in Scotland and England.
Cool. And can you talk a little bit about, didn't you guys, your team started doing a podcast recently, right, in the last few weeks?
Yeah, that's really nice for you to set me up for that one, Devin. I was looking for a way just to shoehorn a little plug in for that, but if you want to just lead with that one, we can go with that. Yeah,
that's what we do. Yeah, tell us a little bit about it. I've seen it and heard it, and tell us a little bit about what it is and how it got started and what you guys do on that podcast.
Yeah, so the podcast we do is called the EdTech Takeout. And we started it for a couple of different reasons. I mean, one of the things that we did a lot at Grant Wood for the teachers was we'd host workshops and courses for teachers to come in and take PD. But we started to notice like there's been more of a drop-off on that because it's been harder for schools to get subs and there's so many other initiatives and things going on. So we wanted to like augment that PD model a little bit, and Mindy and I came up with this idea of doing a podcast, and we just highlight some of the things that we've been doing as consultants or things that we're seeing that we think are really interesting uses of technology in the classroom, and we talk about that. And you know, so far it's gone pretty well. We've done 4 episodes. We're doing another one this week, and it's a new medium for us, but we really enjoy it.
That's awesome. I think we've talked about that on this podcast before, and even off the actual podcast about the possibilities of where that's going. And I personally feel like, I mean, I've started to really learn through podcasting, and so I love the idea of if I'm traveling, perhaps mowing the lawn, doing whatever yard work, I could have a podcast playing in my headphones and be kind of learning and growing as I'm doing some of those other fun things like raking the leaves, for example.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoy.
I've got a 35-minute commute to work, so I listen to podcasts on the way and on the way back, and so all kinds of different places. And I think we've had people tell us, one teacher wrote in and said that she was listening to the podcast while baking on a snow day. So, things like that, just random things. Some people are going to the gym, some people are, there's all these opportunities where we can have that on-demand kind of learning now that, I take advantage of personally, and we're hoping that some of our teachers and beyond can take advantage of when they listen to our podcast too.
Absolutely. So, but really, Jonathan, my hard-hitting question comes at you in the sense of, let's just cut to the chase here. What is it like having Stacey Bamer as a boss?
This is a safe place, Jonathan. You can be honest with us.
Podcast.
Yeah, she knows I'm doing this podcast tonight, so I don't know how safe this would be, but you guys all know Stacey probably as well, if not better than I do. So I have my
and we're all jealous, of your job. Just so that's out there.
Say whatever.
We get that out
we do a lot of post-production editing. We'll edit out anything that doesn't sound flattering.
Yeah, well, I have an annual review coming up in the spring here, so maybe we could have scheduled this podcast for after that. But
we'll do a follow-up session.
Yeah, there you go. I like Stacey a lot. I mean, she's a really good person to work for. I think in a series, like she lets us she lets us do the things that we feel are important and want to do, and she supports us in any ways that we can. She gets us lots of technology and materials and things that we can show to teachers. So yeah, I think she enables us to do what we want to do, I guess. So
Yeah, and full disclosure, I think the world of her and your guys' team. I mean, I think you do a ton of great stuff, and I think it's really all of you that make that go round. And so anyway, I'm giving her a hard time here just in case she does listen. But
we don't always get that opportunity to give her a hard time, so we should now and again.
Absolutely.
I think she'd be disappointed if we didn't, really.
Agreed, yeah.
So, Jonathan, you talked a little bit about teaching both here and over in the UK. So how does someone who is from Scotland end up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa?
Wow, there's a great question, and there's a long story and a short story that goes with that, and I would say the short story is a woman, because my wife is from Iowa. Yeah. We met when she was overseas, and she did an exchange year. She was at University of Iowa or Iowa State, or I can't actually remember which one she was at. And she did an exchange year in the UK, and I met her, I think, in the last 2 weeks that she was there. I had just come back from college to Scotland, and she was at the same university as my sister was at, and we went out one night, and we dated a few times, and we kept in touch after she went back to the States, and we had that kind of long-distance relationship thing going for a while. She would come back and visit at Christmas. I went over there at Easter, and we were like, if we're going to make this work, we're going to have to choose somewhere where we both live and can cohabit at the same time and see if this is going to work. So she could get, I think, I could get 6 weeks in the UK on a visa before I needed to do some other stuff. She could get 6 months in the UK. So she came over to the UK, and we lived there for about 6 months. We ended up deciding to get married, and we got married in the UK. And after a while, I brought up we'd been back to visit her parents a few times in between, and we thought maybe we should take a turn and come back to the States, and we've been here for 10 years now.
Huh. Very cool.
But the best part of the story, and the bit that people don't really believe me on, is we met in a nightclub called Destiny. That's kind of cheesy, isn't it?
Nice.
Yeah.
It is very cheesy, but I like it. That's good.
Kind of telling, maybe.
Jonathan, the entirety of my knowledge of Scottish history comes from the movie Braveheart. Is that 100% accurate about what happened in Scottish history?
100%.
Oh, Lord.
100% correct, right?
Yeah, sure. There's no Hollywood license in there at all.
Okay, I didn't think so. I thought it was nonfiction, but I just wanted to clarify with an actual Scotsman.
They were the original Go Open. That was the original open educational resource. They don't do textbooks. They just show Braveheart for Scottish history class.
I mean, that's what I was thinking, right?
Yeah, my wife is watching a show right now called Outlander, which is on Showtime, I think, or something. But that's historical fiction, I would say too. So,
Well, tell us a little bit. What is your? Maybe you've done them for some of the podcasts that you started. Do you have a current kind of favorite? Either tech tool or something that teachers can do with technology, maybe it's even kind of conceptual, that you like sharing right now, kind of the thing that's on the forefront for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many out there. I was trying to think of one or two that I could pick. I think the ones that stand out to me normally, because I work with a lot of different school districts that have a lot of different devices and a lot of different platforms and things they're working on. So the ones I like are usually the free ones that are also cross-platform, the ones that kind of work across the board. So things like I'm really seeing a lot of traction right now with schools for Seesaw, and I know you guys have probably heard of that one, that e-portfolio app that's really really neat. We've got a lot of iPad schools that are starting to use that, and they've got a web app as well. I think it's really awesome at helping to open up the things that are happening in the classroom to help parents know so much more about what's going on in the classroom, because of the way they can connect and see some of those snippets of what's going on in the classroom.
Have you, Jonathan, on the non? Sorry, Devin, go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say, on the non-iPad side of Seesaw, what have you seen that taking as much traction though?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it more on iPads for sure, I think, but you know, it depends on the device and whether you've got that ability to, like, either, you know, take a picture of something or a video of something, and those kind of things are more powerful when you see them that way. But yeah, mainly iPad schools that have been using Seesaw so far.
Yeah, I haven't messed with the web version that much. I mean, we have it going with some iPads that we do have, but it was just curious if you've messed with that on the website.
I mean, I think technically you can use it on Chromebooks and things like that too. So yeah, it's worth looking at more.
Yeah.
Sorry, I what? Totally lost track of what I was thinking. Now that you have kids and thinking about what it is that you do on a daily basis, how has being a parent affected what you do, and how has what you do for a job affect being a parent?
Wow, those are good questions. So I have two kids. I have my daughter's in second grade, and my son is just halfway through 3-year-old preschool right now.
It's that's a big grade level right there. 3-year-old preschool.
Yeah, it is. I know. Yeah, it's important. He's there 2 mornings a week, so you know he's really soaking it up. The dinosaur station, I hear, is really popular right now.
I'm sure it's a multiple choice test he has on that.
I know, yeah. We were at his conferences the other day, and parent-teacher conferences for 3-year-old preschool. And the teacher was telling me that, yeah, the dinosaurs had to go into timeout recently because there was a lot of arguments and discussions over the dinosaurs, and they named all the dinosaurs. There was a grandma dinosaur, and a mommy dinosaur, and a daddy dinosaur, so... Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to keep a straight face during some of those conferences.
It really is, yeah. But I don't know. I think having kids changes you no matter what you do. I mean, I think when my daughter was born, I was kind of just leaving the classroom. So she was probably 2, but I think it gives you a different perspective than I think when I didn't have my own kids. Even when I was teaching in the classroom, it's just different when you have your own kids. You feel more of a connection to kids, and you see them as they're growing up and learning more. So I think it's been a real blessing for me to have my own kids, and you know, to help translate that into what I do in the classroom. And it really reminds me more about, you know, if I'm thinking about how I would, you know, pitch this to a certain grade level teachers or things like that, I'd say, you know, what would my daughter think if she was doing this, or if I wanted her to do this, you know, what kind of activities would interest her, and it helps give you a new perspective on things like that.
That's a great point.
Hey, Jonathan, changing directions a little bit, but wanted to ask you a little bit, you know, in your position in the AEA in Iowa, you've kind of mentioned this, you do a lot of consulting with all kinds of different school districts with different devices and different things, and I imagine you do several different presentation styles and that sort of stuff. Like, what do you find you're doing the most? Like, what are districts asking you to do the most? I mean, can you kind of give us a little glimpse of some of your go-to things that you're doing?
Sure.
That you do in a very, say it's a Google Apps district or an iPad district or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of Google Apps schools, and you know, you'd think at the end of the day there's only so much Google training you can do, but we seem to be doing more and more Google training every year. There's always, you know, new things to learn on that. I think in terms of in format, though, I mean, some of that is changing because we're seeing recently, you know, one of the hardest things for like me to do is like when a school says, hey, can you come in and do something, and I do it with like the whole staff, and you know, you guys will do the same too, and everybody's at a slightly different level, and you've got that challenge of differentiation and meeting people where their needs are. But more and more recently, we've been going out to districts as a team with like 4 or 5 people, and helping to break that up and giving teachers choice about what they would like to learn. So we're encouraging districts to say, hey, look, we can bring 4, 5, 6 people some days if we really want to, and put on concurrent sessions, and teachers can go to a basics class or intermediate version, or just pick the things that they think are most relevant to them in their classrooms. So we're doing a lot more of that too.
Jonathan, we all kind of are in the same field in terms of our roles with education technology, and sometimes I wonder if there are things to get blinded by. So, for instance, when you go and work with folks, you're coming in as a technology expert, right? Somebody who can help them kind of better utilize, whether it's a tool, whether it's a device, whether it's a website, whether it's an app, helping them do that. Have you seen those lines? People always talk about not wanting those things to be separate, right? So just doing this technology stuff versus what's good learning. Have you seen those lines start to blur at all, or do you see? You just kind of mentioned it with the Google Apps training, the Google training. Are they still too separate for what we really need to do with regards to having technology be purposeful and powerful in schools?
Yeah, I think in many ways it still is, and there are some schools and districts and whatever that will treat it as a separate thing, but it's a challenge that we're trying to work on at Grant Wood, because we have we don't just have technology consultants, we have curriculum consultants, lit consultants, math consultants, science consultants, and recently I went to Benton Community Schools District, and the curriculum director there said, we want to do an afternoon on literacy, okay, but we want technology to be part of that. So we got together with one of our lit consultants, Wendy Anderson, and we just sat down. There was the tech consultants, and there was Wendy, and she was able to help us out on that content side of literacy. This is good literacy instruction. This is the things I've been working on them with, because she also goes to that district. And then we could say, oh yeah, so a great tool to help learn vocabulary might be this, or a great way to help visualize some vocabulary with this. And so having that kind of communication between interdisciplinary groups is what we see as kind of the future of this, and that we're not maybe going out as a tech consultants, we're going out as a Grant Wood team that's able to help facilitate the learning side with technology is just infused inside that.
Yeah, because I think one of the concerns is, I've heard of districts now even kind of going away from having, technology facilitators or technology coaches, and just saying that the folks that they have in place, the literacy coaches, for instance, or the curriculum consultants, those folks should have the skills necessary to be able to help with the technology piece of that. And that concerns me a little bit, I guess, is getting, even starting to think about getting away from the folks that do what you do, going out and trying to kind of meld those two things together, because it really does take a certain aptitude, a certain passion to kind of want to see what role technology plays. So that part concerns me a little bit, that schools and districts that I've heard of are kind of going away from that model.
Yeah, I think so. And so, I mean, whenever I go out to these places, whether it's by myself or with a group or whatever, I always try to have something in mind where I'm saying, as I'm working with a group of teachers here, what can I give you that would be most relevant, something that you could take back to your classroom and try tomorrow with minimal, barriers of entry and all the rest, and still going to give you bang for your buck. And those types of things are important, I think.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, Devin, you brought that up. I just watched a TEDx talk by Holly Clark, who I've had an opportunity to meet, and just, gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the title off the top of my head right off the bat. It's kind of about, well, how will you disrupt school or something to that effect, and she kind of explains 2 different classrooms, one which is highly engaged with good tech integration and kids asking rich questions, and then one where it's the opposite, kind of, as I always call it, the game of school. But it's been interesting to me as a presenter. That's kind of why I was asking you, Jonathan, because I'm over like the kind of sit and get style of 60 apps in 60 seconds, and 60 Minutes or whatever. And not that, like Josh, you and I have had this conversation about NEDA in the sense of like some of the folks that attend that need some of that entry-level stuff and all of that good stuff. But Devin, you were kind of digging at what I was wanting to talk to Jonathan about too, in the sense of the evolution of this whole thing. And you know, I don't want to talk too candidly about my own district, but those integration coaches that, I mean, I have 2 in the entire district, but we have a whole bunch of instructional coaches that, well, so they're not necessarily tech integrationists, right? And yet, as a district, we're certainly implementing lots of technology. And so, I'm not saying that technology takes over for good instruction, but certainly it's obviously, as this group knows, it's an enhancing tool, and it's just concerning to me at this time, right? I just feel like I'm in this zone or area that I want to say worries, maybe not the right word, but just as I continue to see other districts, and that's where, Jonathan, your perspective is interesting, because you're seeing, I don't know how many it is off the top, maybe a dozen districts, if not more, in your area, you know, that really gives you a good perspective of, you know, one district saying, hey, come in and do Google training, and it's maybe the 3rd or 4th or 5th time they've had Google training. It's like, when are you going to get past just Google training and start moving into actual quality instruction?
Yeah, and you know, that's the part where it really benefits to have some of that differentiation in there, because you know, sometimes we have to go in and we have to pitch it to a broad audience. There's math teachers there's science teachers, there's art teachers, there's music teachers, and it's like, you know, you have to look for some common threads in there, whether you're picking out some of the 4 C's or whether you're doing some like SAMR or TPAC or things like that. There's definitely room for it. And I think some of the concentration on technology is, you know, a lot of districts now they're spending a lot of money on technology, and they're feeling that maybe they have to justify, you know, that expense to stakeholders and things like that. So they're like, well, we have to show that we're using technology and getting trained on technology, and people are using it properly. But, you know, like you said, I think it has to come to a point where, at the end of the day, we're not teaching with technology; we're just teaching, and that includes technology. You know, good teaching involves using technology.
Yeah, and I know Bill Little that I work with, Jonathan, he follows the show, and he and I have talked a lot about, so he's kind of in charge of my iPads in the district, and we have roughly 2,000. We're getting close to 2,000. We have tons and tons of Chromebooks. But I've talked to him a lot about this idea of consumption versus creation. Can you speak to that a little bit in the sense of iPad use and, you know, where you're at with that?
Yeah, and you know, that's an ongoing challenge, I think, because there is this myth that people will often, you know, people who are not fans of iPads will say that they are, you know, mainly a consumption type device, but I think it's in many ways one of the more creative types of devices, just because it's so mobile. It's got the cameras, it's got so many different apps that really lend themselves to that creativity. And you know, as you start to think about, I don't know, you know, there's a big push in education for like things like makerspaces where kids are, you know, getting hands-on and actually creating more products. You know, I think we should absolutely be pushing for more of that in our classrooms.
All right, Jonathan, we appreciate your insight. We have a few more things that we need to take care of. Can we get you to stick around, or you need to take off?
No, I'd love to stick around. That's fine.
All right. Well, we are going to do an app or a website of the week, app website of the week, Twitter follow, and coming event, and then we do a district spotlight if you want to do an AEA spotlight. So we're going to prep you. I mean, that's all the time you get actually to prep. We'll let you join in as we go along. So.
All right, go for it.
Devin's got the website of the week.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to share. I was doing 4th grade classrooms wanting to do timelines the other day, or a couple weeks ago, and you know, asking for kind of which tool to create these online timelines, and the one they ended up going with them was the history HSTRY site, so edu.hstry hstry.co. And the reason I liked it is teachers can obviously, they can set those up in there, and they can see all of their students' timelines in one place. For the free version, I think it gives you up to 100 free ones for a teacher. So that's how many they could see at one time, which for this was perfect. But it's nice in the fact that also it doesn't necessarily have to be a timeline. It really is a great tool to just pull resources together. You know, if you want to share information that you have found about whatever the topic is, it's a great visual way to share text and videos and pictures and sound and all kinds of different pieces in one place. So that's the one I'm going to share tonight, because again, I think it's great for timelines. I think that's what it's intended for, but you can do lots of different things with that don't necessarily have to be the standard timeline.
And I will say, my second grader had to do an oral presentation last week, and he got a paper sent home on that he could fill out the timeline, and we used history. And he got 4 out of 4 on the rubric for his presentation. So use it. It's fabulous.
It is great.
It'll rock any second grade presentation. Jonathan, what's a website or app that you think we should check out that we didn't talk about already?
You know, this is something that I'm just going to throw this out there. It's not really a specific web or app. I saw something really fun the other day, and that was by a guy on Twitter called Ryan O'Donnell. I think he's Creative Ed Tech is his username, and he created a Google Drawing template for a Twitter profile. And basically, you can upload pictures and images into this Google Drawing template, and he used it in a social studies context where you would have the main character like Napoleon Bonaparte, and then you can write a bio for him based on what he might have for his bio when he's on Twitter, and there's spaces over on this side where you can add his friends or followers and say who they might be and have pictures of them and some descriptions of them and maybe some fake tweets and things like that. So you've probably seen things like fake Facebook and things like that. This was a Twitter version using Google Drawing, and he has a template up. I can give you guys a link for that if you want to put it up anywhere, and you just go to File, make a copy, and you've got your own fake Twitter profile.
Absolutely, yeah. Add that to the Dads on Ed hashtag there.
Sure.
All right, my Twitter follow of the week is because I got called out on Twitter today by this gentleman. Matt Surwey is the morning weather guy for the local ABC station. And if you noticed early in the day, it was a beautiful day. I go to a school without my jacket on, come back, walk outside, and it is freezing. So he posted this picture about where the cold front was. I made the mistake of retweeting it and say, "This caught me by surprise." He takes advantage of that, replies back to him, and he said, well, something about, just to be fair, I did talk about this and tell you exactly which time it was going to be coming through. So because of that, it was very well played. Appreciate the shout out of, I didn't say that I didn't listen to him. I just said that I was surprised when I walked out the door. But for his expert use of social media, Matt Surwey, KETV, is also on. Actually, how I knew about him is I listen every morning to a local radio station that he calls into. However, my new car has Bluetooth, so I need to listen to more podcasts like the Ed Tech Takeout. Jonathan, someone we need to follow on Twitter.
Someone you need to follow on Twitter. Well, you mean apart from Stacy Beamer?
Yeah. We already know that. I'm sure we've mentioned her multiple times.
It is.
At SBEHMER.
Yes, Stacy Beamer. Yeah, so lots of interest. I'm just looking through my Twitter feed here, actually, because I got so much time to prep for this. But I don't know. Someone I think is kind of interesting is, and this might be an unusual pick, but I don't know if either you follow the Rabbi Michael Cohen, the tech rabbi, on Twitter. He's an interesting guy. Does lots of interesting things. He's an Apple Distinguished Educator, artist, and things like that. So he's great. Tricia Flugelstadt is really super amazing too. Flugelstadt. She's over in Illinois, and she's a K-5 art teacher. And I just think she does really creative things with technology. So she is at Fugle Fun, Fugle Fun. And you don't always see super creative art teachers doing creative things. So
No.
I like her.
And not sharing them like that online.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
All right. Upcoming event, Mr. Catlett.
Yes, upcoming event down in Missouri is Ed Camp Liberty, which is just north of Kansas City, roughly 20 miles, a little northeast of Kansas City. So fairly close to my friends up in Omaha. You guys, love to see you down for that. It's on March 12th. You can go to edcamp.wikispaces.com/edcampplusliberty. I just tweeted it out on the Dads and Ed hashtag as well. So that's coming soon. It's going to be at Epic Elementary School, which is kind of interesting. That's a great school in Liberty that is doing some amazing things behind the leadership of Michelle Smits. And they are one-to-one iPad there, and the learning spaces in general are different. Just the building as a whole was kind of remodeled. And so anyway, so I think it'll be cool for a lot of people to see what's going on there and just talk about what they have going on, because there's a lot of great stuff taking place. So I'm looking forward to that. Ed Camp coming up the week before, of course, Ed Camp Omaha.
We have another show, and if you notice, you know the rotation. Actually, I have the upcoming event next time, so I may already have that one done. Jonathan, what do you have upcoming on your schedule?
Right now we've got, talking of upcoming events, we're working towards the Iowa 1-to-1 conference, which is coming up in April. So we are pretty much expected to be presenting at that conference. So I'm going to do Brent a favor and not do a 60-60 and just try and come up with something more creative. So we'll see what we can get done for that.
45 and 45?
Yeah, let's go with that, yeah. 61 and 60?
Let's do more.
Yeah.
Let's really confuse them.
Yeah.
Auto advance the slides every half a second.
Yeah.
There you go.
The new kind of Ignite.
Yeah. Speed ignite.
Literally ignites your computer on fire.
30-second slides for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. District Spotlight. Devin, this looks like an extremely shameless plug that you need something out of this gentleman.
I don't, but I was just reading a couple of his things earlier today, so I thought I would share. So my district spotlight is not necessarily not a district employee at all. He works for the local newspaper, Scott Stewart, and does a great job covering not just us, but all of Southwest Iowa for education, and really does a nice job of taking on important topics, but also covering things that I don't think get covered enough, just kind of good things happening in schools, and does it in a way that's not just a blurb. It's not just a couple of sentences, but does a nice write-up for some of the great things that are going on in schools in all of Southwest Iowa. We just happen to be included in that. So Scott Stewart is going to be my kind of follow for the week.
Nice one. I will second that. Scott covers our district too and does a phenomenal job, like Devin said.
Yep.
My district spotlight for the week is Jen Kerber. Jen doesn't tweet a whole lot, but I have to give her a shout out. Today we started a couple weeks of doing Dr. Seuss Cahoots, where we do a Google Hangout with another school district. And today we were with a school district in, I think it was Wilson, Alabama, and so I had to give Jen a shout out for letting me come in and interrupt her day and doing those. They are phenomenal. The kids think it's amazing playing the same game, and there's 40 of us all playing at the same time, and so it's a good time. Great way to because it's Read Across America Week. It's a great way to talk about some of that stuff. So Jen Kerber just tweeted that out. Brent.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, I just tweeted the hashtag. His Twitter handle is @ISD for Independent School District. Brad. His first name's Brad. I call him Dr. Mac because his last name is McLaughlin, and he has his doctorate. He's our assistant superintendent of secondary schools, and recently attended Ed Camp St. Louis with me. We drove across the state to that, and then he's now I've gotten him involved in planning of Ed Camp Leader out of KC for the summer, and just really excited about. He's really excited about using Twitter now, and so I want to give him a shout out. He just got over 1,000 followers, and he was really excited about that. When we were driving home from St. Louis, Todd Whitaker followed him. He was real stoked about that. So it's fun for me to see someone, that has that burning early, Twitter kind of thing going on, and that really like the door is opened. Like, wow, there's this whole network of learning and people that I can connect with, and so I'm excited to have that high-ranking leader in our district kind of on board and really starting to move some folks in other leadership positions, and he influences our entire secondary schools and their leaders. So, as well as of course the teachers. So I'm just excited for things with him and what's going on in our district, and so I wanted to give him a shout out.
Very good. Jonathan, someone that we don't know. We've given Stacy a hard time tonight, but someone from Grant Wood that we need to be following.
I'm going to tag a couple of people from my team. I don't know how familiar you guys are with them, but Gina Rogers is GRogers1010, and Beth Swans, who is Bet Swan on Twitter. Those guys do a couple of our really big projects right now. They do a blended learning initiative with our schools that come in and are interested in using blended learning to personalize learning and get technology used in those classrooms that way. And they also do some work with some of the coaches in our districts that are part of the Iowa Teacher Leadership Grant, and help them support the schools through their use of technology and the way to integrate it in the curriculum. They do a lot of great work with those teachers. So I'm going to give props to Gina and Beth.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. We have come to the end of another wonderful episode. Jonathan, we really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us, and look forward to catching up with you soon.
Yeah, you too, guys.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks
for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, we will be back in 2 weeks. We have Wadi Pow Pow, a very good friend of the show, a technology coordinator up in Shadron, Nebraska, northwest corner of the state. So looking forward to that. We will see everyone in 2 weeks.